Come closer, little ones. Come closer. The fire is warm, and the night is long. And what I carry in my heart tonight is older than these stones, older than the river's name. Tonight, I will tell you one of the oldest stories ever carried through the halls of Kemet. A story once spoken by temple keepers beside sacred fires just like this one. A story carved into stone by royal scribes who knew that some things must never be forgotten. A story whispered to the dead so their souls would remember the path beyond this life. This is the story of Osiris the great king, of Isis the queen of wisdom, of Set the lord of the desert, and of Horus the falcon prince.
Listen carefully, for this is not merely a tale of kings and queens. It is a story about jealousy and loss and loyalty and the eternal struggle between order and chaos itself. Long before the great stone pyramids rose beside the Nile, before mighty pharaohs ruled from golden thrones, before scribes covered papyrus with sacred signs, there was the first royal house of Kemet. In those earliest days, the two lands were not yet united in peace. Villages fought over fertile soil. Floods came too early or too late. Raiders crossed the desert borders. Hunger and fear spread from one settlement to the next.
There was no balance yet. The Nile gave life, but life remained fragile. Over the earth ruled Geb, the great lord of the lands below. Across the heavens stretched Nut, the lady of the night sky, whose body carried the very stars themselves. And from their sacred union came 4 children whose names would echo across thousands of years. Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys. The temple records say that destiny followed each of them from the moment of their birth.
Osiris was the eldest son. Even as a young man, he carried a calm inside him that drew others near. He listened before he ever spoke. He settled quarrels fairly. Farmers trusted him. Workers respected him. Priests bowed their heads when he walked through the temple halls. He carried the stillness of the Nile before sunrise. And beside him stood Isis. She was the wisest among them all. She studied the movements of the stars. She learned the healing properties of plants, the sacred rites of the temples, the hidden teachings preserved by royal scribes for generations. She healed the sick. She protected children. She comforted grieving families.
Where Osiris brought order, Isis brought wisdom. Together, they became beloved throughout all of Kemet. But among the royal children, there was another brother, Set. Now, listen carefully, little ones, for Set was not born cruel. He became cruel. Set was stronger than his brothers, fearless in battle. He crossed burning deserts where even seasoned soldiers collapsed from thirst. He hunted beneath deadly storms. He conquered hostile frontier lands where no one else dared go. While Osiris governed the fertile Nile Valley, Set ruled the harsh deserts beyond the green lands. The storms answered to him. The distant frontiers feared him. Foreign raiders spoke his name with great caution. Yet, despite all his strength, the people loved Osiris more. That became the wound inside Set's heart. He believed strength should rule the world. He believed mercy made rulers weak. And year after year, bitterness hardened within him, like stone baking beneath the desert sun. At last, Osiris and Isis ascended the throne of Kemet. Under their rule, the Nile flooded in abundance. Grain rose high in the fields. Trade ships traveled safely along the river. Temples filled with the sound of music. The people learned laws, farming, writing, and the sacred traditions of their ancestors. Many ancient records remember this as a golden age, a time when Osiris taught people how to live with justice instead of cruelty. Wherever the king traveled, the people praised him. Children ran to see him. Elders bowed with deep respect. And every cheer they gave struck Set's heart like a blade. He watched Osiris sit upon the throne. He watched Isis beside him. He watched the people celebrate their prosperity. Day after day, jealousy consumed him from the inside, until at last Set began to desire the throne itself. One evening, Set announced a magnificent royal feast. Torches burned along painted columns. Musicians played harps. Servants carried wine and roasted birds through the great hall. Every noble in the land was invited, and the laughter was loud, and the wine was sweet. And no one suspected nothing. At the center of the chamber, Set had placed a magnificent cedar chest, decorated with gold and precious stones, carved with the finest patterns any craftsman had ever made. The guests gathered around it and admired its beauty. Set smiled his slow smile. "Tonight," he declared, "I shall gift this chest to whoever fits perfectly inside it." One by one, nobles and guests climbed inside. None fit. The chest seemed made for no one. Then Osiris laughed, the warm, easy laugh of a man who trusts everyone in the room. And he stepped forward. He lay down inside the cedar chest.
And suddenly, Set slammed the lid shut. Before Osiris could move or cry out, Set sealed the chest with molten lead. Then, under cover of darkness, he carried it to the Nile and cast it into the black water. The river swallowed the chest whole, and it carried the king of Egypt away into the night. Across all of Kemet, sorrow spread like the shadow of a great storm. The people mourned their missing king. The Nile itself seemed quieter. The winds turned colder. And Isis wept. But remember this well, little ones. True devotion does not surrender when darkness arrives. Isis cut her hair in mourning. She dressed herself in mourning linen, and then she began to search. She traveled through villages and marshes, through temples and distant shores. She asked every traveler. She followed every whisper. She did not stop. She did not rest. Ancient traditions say the chest had drifted far north, all the way to the foreign land of Byblos, where a great tamarisk tree had grown around it over many seasons.
Buried in the sand's hole, all whispers carried by the breeze through dunes and ancient memories, a song of stars and time gone by, mystic the echoes that never die.
The king of that distant land, admiring the great tree, ordered it carved into a pillar for his royal palace, not knowing what rested inside. Disguised as an ordinary traveler, Isis journeyed there after many long hardships. She entered the palace, and when the rulers discovered her wisdom and her quiet, noble presence, they treated her with great honor. Finally, Isis revealed who she truly was. She asked only for the pillar. When the wood was carefully opened, she found Osiris hidden within. She embraced him and wept so deeply that even the heavens heard her sorrow. Then she carried him home to Egypt.
But fate had not finished its cruelty. One moonlit night, while Isis slept, Set discovered the hidden body near the Nile. Rage consumed him entirely. In his fury, he hacked
the body of Osiris into many pieces and scattered them across the length and breadth of the land. Yes, even kings may be broken. Yet Isis refused to surrender. With her sister Nephthys beside her, and with the faithful guidance of Anubis and the ancient temple rites, she travelled across all of Egypt, searching for the scattered remains. Temple cities later claimed different resting places for the sacred pieces. Priests guarded these traditions for centuries. At every place where Isis found part of Osiris, she mourned, she prayed, she honored him. The story is not only about a body, little ones. It is about restoring what chaos destroys. When at last the remains were gathered, Anubis prepared Osiris through sacred funerary rites. Linen wrapped the king's body. Incense filled the air. Perfumed oils burned beside the river. Ancient words were spoken. Words preserved in the temple traditions for thousands of years.
And so, Osiris became the first ruler ever prepared through the sacred art of embalming. From this moment began the burial traditions of ancient Egypt. Then Isis spread her great wings over him and spoke the ancient words. And for a brief and holy moment, Osiris awakened. Not as a living king who would walk among the people once more, but as something greater, something transformed. From this sacred moment, Isis conceived a son, Horus. And afterward, Osiris journeyed beyond the world of the living. There, he became the ruler of the Western kingdom beyond death, guardian of departed souls, judge of all those who entered eternity. Ancient funerary teachings told that after death, every soul would stand before Osiris in the great hall of judgment. Their heart would be placed upon the sacred scales and weighed against the feather of Maat, the feather of truth and balance. That is why people feared lies and cruelty, little ones, because one day every soul would answer for its deeds. Isis fled into the hidden marshes of the Nile Delta. There, among the tall reeds and the crocodiles and the marsh birds and the hidden waterways, she raised young Horus. Even great rulers once began as vulnerable children. Set feared the boy. He knew the child carried the bloodline of Osiris, and so again and again dangers came to find him. Snakes, sickness, assassins who moved through the dark. Yet Isis protected her son with wisdom and ancient healing. Many of Egypt's healing traditions later invoked the image of Isis protecting the child Horus when treating the sick. As the years passed, Horus grew strong. He became fierce, like the falcon soaring high above the Nile, watching everything below with eyes that missed nothing. And eventually, he was ready. He stood up and demanded the throne that had been stolen from his father. The battles between Horus and Set lasted many years. Some stories say they fought upon great boats across the Nile. Others say they transformed into mighty beasts beneath skies torn open by storms. Their war shook all of Kemet. The land trembled. The people waited. In one terrible battle, Horus lost his eye. But the eye was restored. The healed eye of Horus became one of the most sacred symbols in all of Egypt. A symbol of protection, of healing, of wholeness recovered after loss. At last, the great council of rulers and temple elders assembled to judge who should sit upon the throne. Set argued that strength alone should decide kingship. But Isis stood before the council and defended the ancient order of Ma'at, truth, balance, and rightful inheritance. The council debated for many long years. But in the end, Horus was declared the rightful king of Kemet. Order had triumphed over chaos. The throne of Osiris was restored through his son. And far beyond the world of the living, Osiris continued to rule the eternal Western Kingdom with wisdom and with justice. The fire had burned low. Only glowing embers remained, breathing orange in the dark. And the children sat silently beneath the stars of Kemet, not wanting to move, not wanting to break the spell. True stories are not always true in the way stones are true. Every year the river floods, the fields disappear beneath the water. The people grieve what they have lost, and then life returns again. The fields rise green and full. Osiris became the symbol of that, the symbol of renewal, of life that returns even after death has come. And every person
who has ever searched for someone precious, someone lost to darkness, understands Isis. That is why their names endured for thousands of years, because this story carried the fears, the hopes, the grief, and the deepest dreams of an entire civilization. Now, go home, little ones, and remember, as long as stories are remembered, nothing truly disappears.
Isis